Well, hello, everybody. I am Jermaine Albert, the Executive Director of Pathways to Promise. And we are here today gathered for a very special occasion. We have two friends of Pathways to Promise, Reverend Alan Johnson and Reverend Barbara Myers, and you're going to learn more about why they are here in a moment. But let me share with you a little bit about Pathways. We started back in 1988, yes, over 30 years ago, by a group of dedicated people representing 15 faith groups and 2 mental health organizations. And today we are an Interfaith Assistance Resource Center, providing both virtual and in-person support to faith, spiritual, and non-spiritual communities. And we are just so excited about the work that we're doing. And today we are going to have a conversation with Alan Johnson and Barbara Myers. And at the end of that conversation, we're going to make a very, very, very big announcement. And so I gave Alan and Barbara a couple of questions. I'm going to ask that question and then ask both of you to respond to that. But before I do that, let me tell you just a little bit about who we have with us. Alan Johnson is a mental health advocate who serves on the National United Church Board of Homeland Ministries. He's a retired chaplain at the Children's Hospital in Denver, and serves as the chair of the UCC Mental Health Network Board of Directors. I believe recently retired, is that correct? From
Almost.
Okay. And we have also with us Barbara Myers. Reverend Myers is a Unitarian Universalist community minister who ministry focuses on mental health issues, and she's affiliated with Mission Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Fremont, California. That's a mouthful there. And what's so great about this is Barbara released a book recently called Held. Give us the rest of it, Barbara. Held, the rest of it.
Held, showing up for each other's mental health. I don't know if you can see that. Okay.
Yes. So listen, if you don't have a copy of that, we want to encourage you to get a copy of that book. I had a chance to provide just an endorsement of it, and it was a great read. So I encourage you all to get that book. But why have we gathered here? First of all, the first question that I wanted to have you all address to our audience is, what brought you to this work of doing mental health ministry? Alan, share with us what brought you to this work.
Oh my goodness, I can look at it in several different ways, but I want to start with this because I really got involved in the ministry many ways because of Pathways to Promise. You probably did not know this, or maybe you did. It was in September 2009 that there was a Pathway to Promise conference in Belleville, Illinois. And that was the same year where Craig Rendemount had asked me at one of our national UCC gatherings that he asked if I would be the chair of the Mental Illness Network that Bob has been part of for Bob Dell for quite a while. And I said, well, I'd be glad to do that, but there wasn't anybody. And so I went to Belleville conference, and of all things, I sent out the call. Is there anyone here as part of the UCC that would like to be part of a mental health ministry in our denomination? And because there are many faith traditions there, many congregations, 17 people came out. And that is really one of the seeds that the reformation of what became the Mental Health Network of the United Church of Christ. So how does it begin? That was one of the ingredients, is really because of Pathways to Promise. So I want to thank you for your ongoing work, as you just talked about it, Jermaine. So, but for most of us that are involved in this kind of work, it's because it's personal. It's not just organizational. We need to figure out how to organize, obviously, in order to help the ministry to continue. But it really is because of personal stories and my own personal experience. And we all have our own different ones. I mean, part of mine is 37 years ago, my son was manic in the city of New York City, and I didn't know where he was. The police said, you'll find him either in jail, in a straitjacket, or in a body bag. And I thought, there's got to be some other options this. That was the first time that I learned about what a mental illness, a brain disorder, mental health condition looks like in my own family. He was found, he was on the streets of New York City, and he was hospitalized. And that was the first of 21 hospitalizations up to 3 years ago, where he's doing very well now. But I thought, so that's my own personal experience, but how am I going to find the resources or structure an organization that can maybe help those of us that are impacted by mental health issues and concerns? And it's the First Congregational Church in the United Church of Christ in Boulder, Colorado, when a family had 2 adult children who died by suicide within a year of each other. And the congregation, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what resources available. How can we support this family? And it also resonated in me, since not only I was at that particular point trying to learn more about my son's own bipolar disorder and substance use disorder, but also my brother, 3 years younger, had died by suicide. And so when those of us in the congregation are experiencing this, we send out the call again. Anybody want to get together? And again, there are about 20 people that came together and said, yes, we're all impacted by mental health concerns, ourselves or loved ones. And what can we do? How can we develop how about a mental health ministry? And that really was where it began to germinate in our thinking and in our organization. So we began to do educational programs every month. We had a mental health Sunday. We started a spiritual support group for mental health, inspired in many ways by Nancy Kehoe and Craig Rennebaum, who had visited here to help us formulate what that was like. So, I mean, we had a lot of partners in terms of pulling this together. We were not just silos doing this. We had a lot of other people that were doing this as well. So it was really in that congregation that it became clear that it was not just these 20 people, but everybody in some way had been impacted by some kind of a mental health condition. And how were we going to respond? There was this moment of inspiration. I don't know when it came, but it struck one person and said, well, what we really want is to make these the congregations and ourselves welcoming, inclusive, supportive, and engaged about mental health. Why don't we call it WISE? Mm-hmm. My goodness, it took off from then. The UCC, I don't know, other faith traditions, were covenantal. We have to put a covenant together, and then we all vote or live and then live into what our commitments are. And so it really is the WISE program that that took off from this one congregation in Boulder that now went nationally through the United Church of Christ, and now is working with synagogues, other denominations. And so, am I drifting off from your question there, Jermaine? I mean, there's so many different ways, but again, it was personally and personal, and that's what continues, I think, for those of us that have been so impacted in our own family lives or ourselves, that we continue on to find ways, therefore, to organize this in a way that others can be brought in.
I want you to just jump in there and share with us also what brought you to this work of doing mental health ministry.
Well, you both are right. It's the personal lived experience that brought me. My ministry is largely motivated by my own personal experience of living with a mental health disorder. It was diagnosed shortly after my daughter was born in 1978, and I was diagnosed with major depression and spent some time in a psychiatric ward because I was suicidal and needed to be there to be safe. And even though I was, glad that I could be pretty easily brought back to functioning status, I felt like there's something wrong with me as a human being because I had had this experience, and for a long time felt very just basically unhappy with myself as a human being. And it wasn't until I went back to my psychiatrist and told him that I didn't want to live my life like this. I didn't want to live my life being so unhappy with myself. And I got into a sort of a pretty regular time seeing him and exploring what was really going on. And at one point he asked me, "What do you do for yourself spiritually?" And I said, "Nothing," because at that time I hadn't been doing anything for many years. And so he asked me if I thought I would like to learn how to meditate. And when he said that, my first thought was, "What? Sit around and do nothing? I wanted to, I think you should be doing something, you know." But I had promised myself that I would do whatever he said because I really wanted to get better. And so he had me a little book, and I went home and read it. And I didn't realize at that time how unusual that was for psychiatrists to suggest something like that. And I was just incredibly fortunate. I don't know, my psychiatrist think it was the hand of God that brought us together. But I started reading the book, and after a few weeks I went back to see him and I said, "I don't know where it came from, but I'm happy." And he pointed, I'll never forget this, he pointed at me and he said, "It came from you."
Mm.
And that was like my whole way of looking at things, I realized was not true. You know, what he said was true. You know, there is something precious, unique, and holy that's inside of every human being. And it was inside of me. And I never had envisioned it like that. So I started going to church after that. And I felt so incredibly, I didn't tell people that I had had this experience of being in a psychiatric ward. I told the minister, but I didn't tell anybody else. But that church was so incredibly welcoming and warm and embraced me as a community, held me in love. And I ended up starting a depression support group at the church. And then later, wanting to learn how to run a group would be a little more effective. Maybe I could take a class in pastoral counseling. And I went to a Unitarian Universalist seminary that was in Berkeley, and they let me take a class there. And then after I was in the class for about halfway through the class, I thought, this is what I need to be doing with my life. You know, this is really where it is. And I ended up changing my career and retiring from my job. And I was a software engineer before, so it's quite different. And went to seminary and with the intention of having a ministry that focused on mental health. And so I've done that since 2004 is when I graduated, and that's when I started this ministry. And I looked around for other models of what was being done, and I saw what Alan was doing in Boulder and what, some other people were doing in the Methodist Church. And, that gave me ideas of what I might want to do for my ministry. And we've started just recently, a couple of years ago, we started a mental health network for Unitarian Universalism. I was using the same words that Alan used to describe his network. And he was very gracious about showing me, how they set up their bylaws and that kind of thing. And, we borrowed what we thought we wanted. And, we're now, organized at the denominational level and a nonprofit and all that stuff. So it's quite a journey, but you're right. What got me started was personal experience. I mean, if I hadn't had that, that wouldn't have given me the feeling that I am called to do this work.
I want to thank both of you all for sharing. It's wealth of just like, I tell you, it is hope that guide us. It is truly a call. And I'm so grateful that you all accepted the call. And it's amazing to me how if someone would have asked me what I would have been doing maybe 20 years ago, I would have had a whole different thought of what that would be. But life had a way of calling me to this work. And as I've said to many, it is my passion. It is my purpose. And I am so glad that you all answered the call. And I have the distinct honor as the executive director of Pathways to be able to do special things like call folks up and say, guess what? The board voted and made a decision that we want to share with the listening audience and want to share with the world. Each year, we offer 2 awards. We offer a Mental Health Champion Award, which is for individuals who have made a significant contribution in one of the areas of mental illness, developmental disabilities, and substance use disorders. And we also offer an award called the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is intended for individuals who have spent a significant amount of time with documented accomplishments in the field of mental health and faith-based who have had a significant impact on individuals and organizations. You all have mentioned some names of people who have been honored. We've honored Craig Rennebaum with the Lifetime Achievement Award, Susan Gregg Schroeder with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And today we come to make a couple announcements. We are so happy to announce that Reverend Barbara Myers has been chosen to be our Mental Health Champion recipient for 2021. So yes, yes, yes. And we are so happy to announce that Reverend Alan Johnson is now the 2021 Lifetime Achievement recipient. And so we wanted to just bring you all, yes, 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 yes. We wanted to bring you all to share this message because this is going to be announced officially at a conference at the end of this month with Pathways to Hope. And we just wanted for those who looked at, why are these recipients receiving these awards? Well, we've heard in the last 20 minutes why, this calling, this deep work, this lived experience. And so we are so excited to award these to you. And so I would like to wrap up this time together with any closing remarks that you may have that you would like to share. So let's start with Alan, and then let's end with Barbara. And I'm ready to receive those closing remarks.
Well, what an unexpected honor you have given me. I'm deeply appreciative of the recognition. People that I've worked with, that I've honored, that I've respected so deeply. You've mentioned their names as well. It just is humbling for me to be even associated with them. So I accept the award humbly and just so profoundly grateful. And I think it was Meister Eckhart who said, if the only prayer you're going to offer, if it were thank you, that would be sufficient. So my thank you to Pathways to Promise.
And yes, I also am humbled and greatly honored by this award. And I'm going to thank Pathways to Promise for giving me this vote of confidence in the work that I've done. It's very deeply meaningful to me, and like as Alan said, it was unexpected, and just very grateful. So thank you.
Well, we are so grateful to be able to honor you all for your work and for your service. And we want to encourage folks to visit the website that was mentioned earlier. We'll get those on the screen for the WISE initiative, WISE program, as well as Barbara Meyer's new book. We'll get that all available at the end of this video for you all to tune to. Visit Pathways to Promise at www.pathways2promise.org. And we are so grateful for Alan and Barbara, you sharing just a little bit of your time with us on today. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you. The journey continues. Right.
Yeah, it is not over. You know,
exactly. Right.
I am so grateful that we will continue this work together.